You're very welcome along to the Matchbook Football Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Hussey, and joined by Mark O'Haire and Adrian Clarke, who's look ahead to what is quite a brilliant weekend of Premier League action before we stop for an international break. Inside StopMatchbook.com, we see a lot of people this season going over there for a recap of the guys' picks. Mark's article will be out later today as well. And if you take 2 seconds, I do forget to say this at times, hit that like button. It's the best no-cost way of supporting the podcast. So if you take 2 seconds and you're watching now, or listen, if you head over to our YouTube channel and click that thumbs up, it makes a massive difference. And before we get going, a reminder of our new customer offer. And again, it is our most generous all sports offer out there. So if you enter the bonus code POD50, that's POD50, and you don't currently have a Matchbook account, you can get £50 worth in free bets when you bet £50. Full T's and C's available on screen now or on matchbook.com/promotions. Well, we're checking that out. POD50. And join the Matchbook team. You get the best, as you'll see throughout the show, you'll get the best exchange market value, but you'll also get our bet builder options as well. If you're new to the show, we cover about 4 games on the slate, 4 games picked out by Mark and Adrian. And what we also do then is cover any other bets, long shots, and best bets. So let's get started. And it's an easy opener here, guys, in terms of a game. We have to pick Manchester City versus Liverpool, and Adrian, we'll get to your bet in a second, but even tactically, I mean, I don't think there's been a more well documented style of play against one team, because Arne Slot's come out and said we're not good against a long ball. Surely Manchester City, as from a tactical point of view, are going to try a few long balls to Erling Haaland in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite funny, I thought, in a way, that Unai Emery just went the polar opposite, didn't he?
Yeah.
Slot admits that. And what did Villa do? They go and play as many short balls around the edge of their own box as they possibly can.
It's crazy, Adrian, but at the same time, they did have 1 or 2 openings that if they went 1-0 up, it would have been such a flex. But yeah, I agree with you ultimately. Yeah.
Look, it was kind of narcissistic tactics from Unai Emery, trying the ultimate double bluff there on Slot. And like you say, when they did play through Liverpool's press, they had some good chances, but they really did. They were asking for trouble at Anfield when Liverpool were looking to press as high as they did. Fascinating game, isn't it? Really interesting. City are in good nick, aren't they? You've got to say. Erling Haaland obviously on fire, but Foden in good form. Doku is creating chances as well. Those two have both created over 20 chances so far this season. This Cherki obviously now available. Will he start? Will he come in off the bench? Interesting team selection for Pep Guardiola. Will Rodri start, or will he stick with Nico Gonzalez? A few little queries around City, but there's no doubt that they're in decent form, and they look pretty confident, don't they, at the Etihad Stadium as well, Manchester City. So it's a real tough game this for Liverpool, who did well, I thought, against Real Madrid. That was a pretty solid performance. Against Villa, good result. I mean, the most telling thing from both those games is the fact that not that many of their new signings really featured heavily, did they? It was like the old Liverpool against Villa in terms of the midfield, the defence, and really Ekitike of the new boys, and against Real Madrid as well. Preferred Robertson, preferred Conor Bradley, Szoboszlai key player again. So yeah, it's how do they go about this, Liverpool? My sense is that City with home advantage can make this tell, and that they can beat Liverpool in the game. I just still not really fully convinced on Konate and his form. Even Van Dijk, and they did do well against Real Madrid. I give them their dues, and Bradley did too. But that defence, I still don't fully trust it. Is my honest answer. And let's be honest, that City are going to test them with long balls. Who for? Of course, it's going to be for Erling Haaland. He loves to run that left channel as well, where Konate could be, where Conor Bradley will be. Conor Bradley, he's going to want to stay wide with Doku, isn't he? He's going to look to sort of man-to-man him. Well, that could leave Haaland isolating 1v1 against Konate. He has a poor record, actually, Haaland, against Liverpool, doesn't he? I think he's only scored twice against them, never at Anfield. But I think he's playing too well for this to be a game where he potentially blanks. So look, I'm going to go with City and under 4.5 goals. I do think unders is probably the way forward. The last 4 meetings between these two have gone under 2.5. So, that tells a story. It's not like the Klopp Pep days. Things were a bit more circumspect. Think about how City played against Arsenal, defensive. Think about Liverpool, how they played against Arsenal, defensive, cautious. And given the fact that both are sort of training by quite some distance, they can't really afford to lose this game. So I think under 4.5 feels a very strong pick. And I'll tell you what, it's a good old jump from City. City at 1.95, which I think is a bit short. But if you pair it with under 4.5, it jumps to 2.72, which is absolutely more palatable. I can get behind City on home turf against the Liverpool team with defence. I'm not sure about goalkeeper that isn't as good as Alisson. I think City can turn them over in a tight game.
Okay, they'll lock that in. 272, the jump from 195. And Mark, for you, I guess this City team is. Look, to be honest, this game is huge. But I think City, we don't quite know yet how good City are, and Liverpool have got that back-to-back wins, as Adrian said, going back to last season's formation. I feel it's just a 6-pointers go. This is right up there because a win for either team, and they're looking, going, we are the team that's going to be able to challenge Arsenal this season.
Exactly, yeah. Adrian's saying it almost it's a must-not-lose match. It's not, but it's almost a must-win game as well. Because if either of these two teams drop more points here, the title race is kind of creeping away from them. Arsenal will be playing on Saturday afternoon, could easily be another 3 points further clear of these two teams. So it's a fascinating game, and as we know, a week is a very long time in football. And if we were presented with these prices on this week's show last week, previewing Man City versus Liverpool, I would have been all in on Adrian's selection. But it's hard not to have been impressed by Liverpool's last week. Slot was unfairly and kind of stupidly criticised for resting all his key players in the League Cup last midweek. But we've seen the results of that resting, because they've come back and been really intense, really energetic in both performances against Aston Villa, but more importantly against Real Madrid in midweek. They had all the hallmarks of last season's title-winning campaign. I thought Bradley was absolutely outstanding in midweek. Robertson's been very good, but that midfield three, McAllister's looked refreshed. Gravenberch is back, and Szoboszlai is number 10 role, being probably Liverpool's player this season. So the balance of the team as well. That balance has always been the issue, really, the midfield balance, I think, because obviously they've not been protecting the defence very well either. But it looks and feels about right, what we've seen in the last week. And even Florian Wirtz came in midweek and had his best performance of the season so far for Liverpool in that left-hand sided role, sort of a floating role. But it was definitely Liverpool's best effort of the season so far. And it will give them confidence. But I guess crucially, both of those games came at Anfield. They come into this match having lost 4 or 5 away, 7 defeats and 11 on the road, going back to the end of last season. And remember, last season, even when winning the campaign, winning the title, they won once in 7 away at the top 8. That obviously was Man City, but City were in a terrible shape back then. So could they be considered as being kind of back Liverpool? Perhaps we'll have to wait and see after this match. But City are going along quite nicely themselves. Very good, very methodical in the way in which they saw Bournemouth off, did similar against Dortmund. Sort of, I guess they stopped playing in the second half when that match was done and dusted. But when you've got Erling Haaland leading the line, it's very difficult to sort of dismiss them. But we are seeing a different side to City this season. They've scored more goals from fast breaks, been a lot more direct as well. And they actually yet to actually score from set pieces, which is a bit of an anomaly compared to where the Premier League is at right now. So 20 goals all from open play, which is a hell of a feat in fairness. And I think when you're averaging 2 open play goals per game, you're a very tough side to beat. Foden's playing brilliantly, Doku as well, creating chances, Shirky coming into that team. So, you don't want to deny them getting on the score sheet here either. But I think Liverpool have enough now in forward areas, enough confidence going to the Etihad too after this week to suggest that they can also oblige at the Etihad. So I've taken basically taking the result out of the equation, taking the Adrian Clarke Classic here of both teams to score under 4.5 goals at 2.15. 11 of the last 14 meetings at the Etihad have seen both sides score. Just 3 of those have featured 5 goals or more. And Man City matches don't tend to sort of descend into all-out attacks these days. their only over 4.5 goal game this season came at home to Burnley in the Premier League, and that's when Burnley helped them with 2 own goals along the way too. So with this selection, 2.15, you get the 1-1, the 2-2, the 2-1 or 3-1 either way. For an odds against price, I think that's a fair enough approach for what should be a real humdinger.
Okay, both teams will score under 4.5 goals for Mark. This is our £10 money back podcast bet builder, which was a winner last week. So we're looking for 2 in a row, and we're going to do a mix and mash of the 2 guys selection. So we're being cautious with City, double chance, but adding the both teams to score and under 4.5 goals, which both guys agree with. That's 2.6. If you back that on the matchbook bet builder and it loses, you get your money back as a free bet. That's up to £10. So full T's and C's available on insights.matchbook.com. Adrian, I mean, first of all, what a cracking day on Saturday. We have 4 live games if you're here in Ireland. Spurs United, you got Everton, Fulham, Sunderland, Arsenal, Chelsea, Wolves. It starts with Spurs United. And who would have thought a couple of weeks ago we've got way more questions on this Spurs team than this Manchester United team all of a sudden?
Yeah, it's this is a tricky one. This is a really difficult game in my opinion. Yeah, it's yeah, as soon as I saw that, obviously we've got to talk about it. It's a huge game, 2 big clubs, but anything could happen here. It's a very, very difficult one to call. Obviously, Spurs win in midweek action against FC Copenhagen, a decent performance, but oh my goodness, how bad were they against Chelsea? Creating next to nothing, giving up a lot of chances. I mean, no Premier League teams, I think, has lost more at home in 2025, have they, than Spurs? 9 defeats in the Premier League in this calendar year. It's not been great at all in front of their own supporters. But they will be lifted, obviously, by what happened in midweek. That poor home form is a real concern for Thomas Frank. He's got to sort it out. Otherwise, the fans are definitely going to get on his back, aren't they? They don't love the style of football as it is. So he really needs a win in the game. Manchester United, obviously, been on a good roll, winning games. Drew, obviously, at Forest last time out, but they've had a whole week to prepare for this one, which will be a slight advantage. But yeah, can you fully get on board with Manchester United at the moment away from home? I still can't, actually. I still can't. They haven't had a clean sheet away from home yet. They've only had 1 clean sheet all season, Ruben Amorim's side. So for that reason, I can't go and back Manchester United to win this match either. I've gone for a bet builder. I've gone down that route just because I'm not sure what the outcome will be of the match. So it goes as follows. So Tottenham to score. So just over 0.5 goals. I've just said Manchester United are yet to keep a clean sheet on the road this season. They did blank, of course, at home to Chelsea, blanked at home to Bournemouth as well, but surely they won't blank again here against a United side that have been a bit leaky this season. They've got a lot of the forward players available now, and it feels like they will have to attack this game after this sort of shame, really, of their performance against Chelsea. I think they have to go after Manchester United in this game. So I back Spurs to score over 3.5 Spurs corners. They are among the highest in terms of averaging corners per game. 6.2 they average per game. It's the second most in the division, behind, surprise, surprise, Arsenal. So that they will press and look to score goals from set pieces. At home they average 5.6. So over 3.5 feels good to me. And then I want to pair it with the one I'm really sort of feel strongly about. I don't think this is going to be a crazy game. Under 4.5 goals. No Spurs home game has gone over 4.5. Actually, no Tottenham Hotspur game, full stop, has gone over 4.5 since Thomas Frank came in. For Manchester United, none of their away games have seen 5 or more goals either. So that feels pretty good to me. It's the early kickoff as well. Very few of those are madcap affairs, are they? So yeah, I'm just not sure which way it's going to go. But I do think Spurs will score. I think they'll get 4 or more corners, and I'm pretty convinced that we'll see under 5 goals. All that comes out just about even money. I think I've got it at 1.98.
Okay, yeah, taking advantage of the bet builder there. Mark, for you, I mean, again, this Manchester United team, it feels like they're on the cusp of really hitting proper form. They've built a bit of a small sample size of good results. Can you see that lasting for them?
Yeah, of course. I've been massively unimpressed by Tottenham this season. I think I said on our season preview show I didn't think Thomas Frank was the right appointment for Spurs. I've been quite critical and unimpressed by what they've done really since beating Man City in August, which was very impressive. But despite that, I still kind of backed them by default last week against Chelsea. I'm going to do the same again because I just think the price is still a bit too big, despite absolutely hating what they're doing right now. It's bizarre, really, why I end up sort of finding my way in this position. But that performance against Chelsea was shocking on every level, really. I appreciate Thomas Frank is still finding his feet, looking to overhaul the defensive shape and organisation, but they've been absolutely honking in attack for quite some time now, and something we've been shouting about for a while too. It was the fourth successive home game where they failed to register an XG above 1.0, just 3 shots in the entirety of the match. Without Vicario, without Gittins' miss, the defeat would have been a lot wider than just the 1-goal margin. And but it's hard not to sort of focus on those attacking numbers. They're averaging fewer than 10 shots per game, their worst ever Premier League average. They've been desperately poor at creating chances from open play. in their 12 games since beating Man City across the Premier League and Champions League, they're averaging 0.67 XG per game. 10 of those 12 games have seen them produce less than 1.0 XG from open play, and that figure is massively bumped up by what they did against Copenhagen in midweek, who the Danes did their best to sort of gift wrap a few goals to them anyhow. We're missing a number of key players too, so you can kind of take that match in isolation. But I guess if you're being positive, Xavi Simons probably had his best game for Spurs in midweek. We also saw Destiny Udogie back playing at left back. He combined really well with Erdebert, and they look a lot more rounded team when he's playing at left back rather than sort of Jed Spence playing an unnatural role. So I'm not reading too much into that match, but I think there are sort of, I guess, an element of confidence that could be brought into backing Spurs based on what they did there. But anyway, I'm just seeing them close to 2-1 here against a really poor travelling Man United side, and that just feels too big. I know they've been dreadful at home for the last 12 months, but sort of 1.82 with a quarter goal start has me interested. You make money as long as United don't win, and United have only won 5 times away from home in the Premier League since the start of last season. They've also failed to beat Spurs in the last 7 meetings. They are moving in the right direction. Their joint best run under Amorim, I think it is 4 games unbeaten. Casemiro sort of starting to flourish in midfield for the first time in forever. The goalkeeper and defence look settled, and they're sort of playing without that kind of same level of chaos that we've seen in recent years. But yeah, also the attack, I guess, is functioning too. So they are moving in the right direction. But even at Forest last week, they only generated 0.62 XG from open play. Struggled to sort of create after going behind as well. Set pieces were their best asset as well, and that's an area of strength for Tottenham. So yeah, as Adrian says, they've only got 1 clean sheet, so they're having to score at least twice 2 or 3 goals to win matches. They've allowed 26 big chances in the Premier League. That's the 5th worst, and they've given up 1.59 non-penalty expected goals per game, which is the 2nd worst, only behind Burnley. So they're not the kind of defensive numbers I would want on my side to back a team as favourites away from home, regardless of where Spurs are at right now. We saw them held at Forest, could easily have lost at Liverpool, awful at Brentford, no shows at City and Fulham. So yeah, I'm quite happy to oppose United, but there's probably a better way in here rather than just backing Spurs with a quarter goal start. And just listening to what Adrian was saying there about anticipating a relatively low scoring game, I had a quick look at the bet builder. So my proposed bet was Spurs plus a quarter at 182, but we can get 185 by backing Spurs double chance and under 4.5 goals, which would probably be my better bet actually, because you get a full stake then payout if Spurs avoid defeat, which is what we're looking for here rather than just a half stakes win. So Tottenham double chance and under 4.5 goals at 185 would now be my best bet on that game.
Okay, we'll put that in on insights.matchbook.com, but leave the Asian handicap there for you as well and split those stakes, Mark. And it just gives listeners and viewers an insight into different approaches and angles into games. Pick your preference there and get a palatable price. Sunderland versus Arsenal, and Mark, we'll stay with you as the neutral here. I'm trying to find an angle in against Arsenal at the moment, and the one thing I can think of is, expected goals numbers. They're still overperforming them defensively versus what they potentially could have conceded. But those are times when you've kept so many clean sheets. Does that start impacting oppositions? Because if I'm Sunderland here, I'm saying first half we have to get a shot on target, even if it's just a 30-yard roller. And I feel that psychologically would lift the crowd a little bit, no matter how blatant it is, if you get what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, I do. I think there's also the psychology element from an opposition perspective, particularly when you're playing at home to Arsenal. You want to be the team to beat them. You want to be the team to score against them. And I'm sure it will lift the crowd, sort of get the league leaders to your home patch. They don't need a huge amount of encouragement at the stadium and like to make a bit of a racket. So I'm sure there'll be a great atmosphere. But yeah, I thought that clean sheet record was coming under threat on Tuesday, actually. The way the first sort of 10, 15 minutes went, Slavia Prague were very lively, 4 shots in the first 11 minutes, none of them on target, of course, but I thought they started pretty well. Arsenal were relatively slow to sort of get to grips with the game, and then obviously the penalty got their noses in front, and you know what's going to happen thereafter. But yeah, just 3 shots on target against now in their last 6 league and Champions League games. In the league itself, it's 1 in 4, and their average across the whole Premier League campaign 1.9 against, which is the lowest record Opta have ever recorded. So quite remarkable, really. Burnley didn't even have a shot until the 71st minute last weekend. They're looking pretty imperious, 6 clear at the top. Won the last 8 now without conceding across all comps. But before you sort of start thinking about your celebrations in May, 4 of the last 7 Premier League sides to win at least 8 of their opening 10 league games have failed to win the title, and there is a long way to go. So injuries are piling up. Gyökeres, Zubimendi, still without Havertz, Jesus, Madueke, Odegaard, Martinelli. Obviously, the squad is quite strong, but it's getting stretched. Mikel Merino leading the line again. I know they've been very machine-like in their performances, but yeah, there is perhaps reasons to suggest that they could drop points in the near future. But at the minute, I think they're difficult to oppose, even at these kind of lines and prices. And the most obvious selection has to be just about Arsenal to win and BTDS no, because it's been a winner in 12 of their 15 games now across all competitions. It's not a run that will continue. It will end at some point, but at 2.1, I'm prepared to have a crack at it here. The 3 goals they've conceded in almost 23 hours of football. Szoboszlai's free kick, the goal Man City scored on that counter-attack when Haaland looked ridiculous, and Voltemada against Newcastle. So quite incredible, really. They played 13 games across the Premier League and Champions League, given up an average, or the last 13 games, I should say, given up an average of 0.47 non-penalty expected goals. So defensively, we know what they're all about. Whereas Sunderland, yeah, best start of a promoted side since Hull, I think. Unbeaten at the Stadium of Light this season. They've adapted brilliantly. You can see how well coached they are, how committed they are, the organisation, the athleticism. They are going to be a tough nut to crack. They were dreadful for that opening half hour against Everton, but after that, they were fantastic, I thought. 16 shots in the 28th to the 85th minute, and were clearly the more likely winners. Didn't engineer many clear-cut opportunities, though, and that's been a bit of a theme about them this season. 5th bottom for non-penalty expected goals. Only Burnley are below them for XG from open play, and their set-piece threat might be negated by Arsenal here too. So 7 of their 10 games also have come against teams currently in the bottom half. So this will be by far their toughest test. And yeah, Arsenal don't usually give newly promoted clubs much of a chance. They've won 24 of the last 25 against promoted teams. So I'm happy to sort of back them again with a clean sheet and odds against price, considering those Sunderland attacking numbers.
Okay, yeah, and Sunderland have come out and said they are targeting a top 10 finish. And Adrian, you analyse Arsenal more than any club in the Premier League. If you're Sunderland, how do you go about getting that all-important goal that could be crucial?
Actually break down this Arsenal defence? Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Leak our secrets, Adrian.
No, I'm not going to do that. No, the team's in good nick. We know that. I mean, 2 centre halves are flying. Like Gabriel Magalhaes has been absolutely magnificent this season. Calafiori come back in, won't he? Missed the Champions League game. Timber's been great at right back. I mean, maybe catching Arsenal cold, a little bit like Slavia Prague tried to do in midweek. Could be the way forward. You know, Arsenal were a bit slow out of the blocks at Burnley as well last weekend. Obviously, didn't come under any threat. Didn't create much until they scored the opening goal. So yeah, maybe early on in games, it's maybe Sunderland's best chance. But look, Arsenal are chasing history here, aren't they? They sort of 3 with the 8 clean sheets in a row, looking for number 9 here. And I'm with Mark on the same selection. Arsenal to win to 0 feels like the obvious pick at 2.1. 13 wins to 0 in all competitions this season for Arsenal. I mean, we're only in early November. 8 in a row as well, wins to 0. So yeah, to get it odds against feels nice. Also, have only faced 1 shot on target in the last 4 Premier League games, And that, let me tell you, wasn't a shot on target when Eddie Nketiah had the ball whisked off his head by David Raya. How they claimed that was a shot on target, I'm not quite sure. So that, if, in effect, it's 4 games in a row without facing a shot on target. In midweek, Slavia only had their one and only shot on target in the 95th minute. Just a little tame dolly into David Raya's hands. So look, Arsenal aren't giving much away. Sunderland aren't super creative. They are really well coached. They are. Granit Xhaka's been great. They put quality balls into the box. They've got an aerial threat as well in there. So that's something to be aware of. But yeah, not loads of creativity in the team. They've not played anyone in the top 6 yet, Sunderland. So this is a step up in level for them, absolutely. And every home game that Sunderland have had so far this season has been against a side that's currently in the bottom half. I know Villa are in there. They are in the bottom half at the moment. So this is by some distance the toughest home game that they would have had so far this season, Sunderland. And they actually still have the 6th lowest XG on home turf. So despite having a really kind fixture list at the Stadium of Light, yeah, they're not creating bundles of chances. So yeah, I think Arsenal will get the job done. They are depleted. It'd be a real shame if Gyökeres does miss this game. But they should have enough players available to get the win. And yeah, you've got to fancy Arsenal every single time they play at the moment to keep that clean sheet. So yeah, for me, absolutely the same as Mark. Arsenal and both teams score no.
Okay, seems very obvious selection. Normally when that happens, it doesn't come to fruition. But hopefully for the guys, Arsenal and both teams have scored 2-1-2. It does seem a tad big considering what we've seen this season, but who knows? Betting isn't that simple, as we know. Aston Villa versus Bournemouth, Mark. When I see this game and look to preview this game, it feels like it's going to be a fun, enjoyable game to watch, and the perfect curtain raiser to Manchester City versus Liverpool.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so too. Just to give you an idea of where I was coming into this match, I thought Villa looked too short here, and that was a general feeling I had. I plugged the numbers into my model. It also sort of felt that Villa are a little bit too short. But I wouldn't be rushing to back them on Sunday. I've not been overly impressed by their body of work this season. They've really struggled to be inventive, and outside of that Man City performance, it's been pretty bang average actually. And obviously they're involved in European action on Thursday night too. However, I think you need to be careful about opposing Aston Villa at Villa Park. It's not something I want to make a habit of. 1 defeat in the last 23 here in the Premier League. Unai Emery also has a very good record over Andoni Iraola. I think Villa are unbeaten in 5 head-to-heads in the Premier League, winning 3 of those. Perhaps he knows the best way to subdue Bournemouth, contain, counter, similar to what Man City did, with almost handover initiative to Bournemouth, allow them to play with a high line and pick them off. But we'll see. Emery did get it all wrong last week, as Adrian kind of alluded to, the sort of risk-reward type of playing out from the back. Had some reasonable success when they did play through the press, but it also led to a number of shaky moments and Emi Martinez making another error. But yeah, they started pretty well. Rodgers hit the post, Cash hit the woodwork, but they're still struggling to create really good eye-opening opportunities. 0.41 expected goals at Anfield. No big chances as defined by Opta in that match. It's only 9 goals in 10 league matches, the 3rd lowest expected goals output. And you wonder where it's kind of going wrong. But Ollie Watkins' influence has definitely waned as well. He's taking fewer shots, fewer percentage of Villa shots, fewer touches in the penalty area. He started 9 league games, scored once, and got a total XG of 1.7. So there are issues to address for Villa in forward areas. I guess the positive for Villa coming into this game is Bournemouth can be very generous, especially when playing away from the Vitality. They pack a real punch of their own, but their defensive data has been pretty mediocre at best, really. 4 of 5 teams have scored at least twice against them when hosting Bournemouth this season. 3 clean sheets and 24 away days going back to the start of last season. However, they have scored themselves in 21 of those, including at the Etihad last week, which we suggested they would. So yeah, both teams to score as obliged in 19 of their 24 away Premier League games going back to the start of last season. That's a 73% strike rate. And I really like the prospect of a repeat here. It's 174 on the nose on Matchbook Exchange right now, which is a perfectly palatable price, I think. I'm going to boost it a little bit more, though, by including a card for each team, which gets it to 195, close to even money. John Brooks is refereeing here. He's given 14 yellows and a red in his 4 league games this season. He's also booked both teams in 91% of his matches going back to the start of last season. And both teams have been booked in 9 of 10 games for each team this season in the Premier League. I wanted to be with Bournemouth, but I think tactically that high line was exposed at the Etihad. Wouldn't be too surprised if Villa caused them problems doing something similar if Emery sticks to the obvious approach here. But going forward, they're fearless. They're well rested too compared to Villa. They scored. They're second only to Chelsea, I should say, in terms of shots on target away from home this season. And with Villa only keeping 6 clean sheets at home in 24 since the start of last season, you would expect Bournemouth to get on the score sheet again here. 67% of those games actually saw both teams scoring as well when Aston Villa have hosted Premier League football. So I think all the data suggests we should be in for a goal-heavy game here. And but yeah, both teams to score, both teams to be booked 195.
Okay, lock that in. And yeah, Adrian, Villa are a weird one because if they win this, they're level with Bournemouth and they've got themselves back to where I see them in the Premier League. Yet 9 goals in 10 games. So it goes, even though they are creating chances like the shot stats that Mark alluded to there, they're still struggling to maybe build and score 2-3 goals in a game.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. It's a strange one, isn't it? Yeah, Watkins has definitely been, under par. They need other players to chip in with more goals. I think Rodgers is coming into some really good form, isn't he? Gesson needs to step up a little bit, I guess. Brendia has sort of chipped in, hasn't he? A lot of their goals have been from distance as well. So, yeah, there's a lot more to come from Villa as an attacking force. And maybe this is the game to sort of get them going, really, because, as Mark said, Bournemouth on the road have been really leaky. Very, very high XG against on the road. Obviously, letting 3 at City, letting 3 at Palace, letting 4 at Liverpool, 2 at Leeds. The clean sheet came at Spurs, didn't it? That was a good 1-0 win for them, but that's going back a bit now. So yeah, look, Cherries always seem to score. I think they have scored in every single away game, and I would fancy them to score at Villa Park, but yeah, I can't see them keeping a clean sheet, even though Villa haven't been, looking dynamite as an attacking force. On home turf, they are, they're strong, aren't they? Aston Villa, 1 defeat in 23 home Premier League games. Obviously, that was the Palace loss. Bit of a bogey team, aren't they? Crystal Palace for Villa, but yeah, at Villa Park, they very, very rarely get beaten. And I think, I have to respect that. I think, that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, well, I can't oppose Villa here. So I am going to go Villa, even though, I understand where Mark's coming from with the prices. Villa double chance. So really, you're protecting yourself here with the draw. And just pairing that with the both teams to score that Mark's outlined, eloquently there. The numbers are massive in terms of this being likely that both teams score. So yeah, BTTS with Aston Villa double chance, it takes both teams to score up from 1.74 to 2.05, which I really like, given how infrequently Villa get beaten on home turf. So yeah, I feel quite good about making this bet. That record that Mark talked about, Emery against Iraola, it's one of his best head-to-heads in his career so far. They've met 6 times, 4 wins for Emery, 2 draws, no defeats. So I'm backing him to extend that to 7. Yeah, Villa double chance, both teams scored 2.05.
Yeah, interesting head-to-head there. So both guys like both teams to score, with Mark going for both teams to get carded and Adrian going for sorry, there got attacked there. Villa double chance. Any other bets? And Adrian, we feel like we speak about this derby or not a derby every single season, so you can give us the answer to that. And we're recording this before Palace take on Troy Parrott's AZ Alkmaar. We're going well this season in the Eredivisie.
Troy Parrott? Who's Troy Parrott?
Don't do that to me. Don't do this to me. Ireland's best striker right now, given Evan Ferguson's injury. Anyway, I digress. Palace versus Brighton. This is a fun game. Sunday, 2:00, I think it is.
Yeah. It's rivalry, not derby. That's what they say, isn't it? They really hate each other, though, don't they? Which I think is always good. Yeah, it's good to have a little bit of an edge, isn't it? And yeah, Palace, obviously a tough schedule for them at the moment. They've got to play tonight and before the game, so that doesn't help them. First and foremost, I don't see loads of goals. I mean, we have had goals in this fixture before, but yeah, in recent meetings they've been a little bit tighter. Under 4.5 goals is the first part of my bet here. It's landed in 9 of 10 matches for Palace this season. and it's landed in 9 of 10 matches for Brighton as well in the Premier League. So, and given the stakes here, given that neither side will want to lose, and really, given how good Palace are without the ball, which again, I'll never stop banging on about it. Glasner is very, very smart in terms of the way he can nullify the opposition. I just don't see five goals being scored here in the match. So that's part one. Part two is discipline, and yeah, I think that we could see a few cards here. I'm going to go with over 4.5 cards, so 5 cards or more, which is just a little bit chunky, I guess. But 3 players were sent off in the last meeting, which was very, very lively. In the previous 3 meetings prior to that, there were 5 cards, 4 cards, and 7 cards. So the average says that going 5 cards or more is okay in this particular fixture. The ref is Tim Robinson. He's from Sussex, which is slightly odd appointment location-wise. He's been averaging 5.5 cards per game in the Championship this season. It's only his second Premier League game this season. Last year in the top flight, he averaged 4.5 basically, which is the line that we're looking at. He was the 7th highest among referees. So he's one of those refs that's certainly not shy of dishing out a yellow or a red. Hertzler, fiery guy, isn't he? He'll get his players pumped up. He'll be lively on the sidelines, I'm sure. And I think as a part consequence of Hertzler's style of management, his team make a lot of fouls. They get themselves into trouble with referees. Only Bournemouth have had more yellow cards than Brighton in the Premier League so far this season. So yeah, if you want it to be feisty and not high scoring, my selection might be the one for you. So yeah, under 4.5 goals, over 4.5 cards, 205.
Okay, and head to the bet builder to back that. Second selection, Adrian, League One, and the title race is pretty good. I mean, you got 6 points between first and eighth. Bolton sitting 7th, and they host lowly Port Vale this weekend.
Yeah, I was just looking at it, and I thought, oh, Bolton aren't a bad price here. This looks like a price that could sort of shrink closer to kick off. For me, Bolton stats are. The data on Bolton in League One is very, very strong, but the results haven't always matched it. Most of that is down to some slightly flaky away form for Bolton at their own stadium. They're very, very strong. They're unbeaten at home. Bolton Wanderers. They have the best record in League One at home. So that instantly gets my attention. And they're up against a Port Vale side that aren't in good form. They're solid. They don't give much away. They've scored once actually in their last 4 games. So a little bit of on a downer as an attacking force. As I say, they are quite solid defensively. No Port Vale away game, for instance, has gone over 3.5 goals this season. So on the road, they're involved in some fairly tight, cagey affairs. And then you look at Bolton's record, and you actually see a team that themselves aren't involved in matches that go crazy. Just 1 of 7 home games for Bolton this season have gone over 3.5 goals. So lots of relatively low scoring affairs there. And that's how I see this one panning out for the reasons outlined for the data that I've just mentioned. I want Bolton on side. I think they really should beat Port Vale at home, and under 3.5 goals. We pair that together, it's 2.16. And when you look where they are in the table, and you look at the quality of the players available to each manager, you really want to be on Bolton's side here. Yeah, it's 2.16.
Okay, we'll lock that in. Bolton to win another 3.5 goals, 2.16. And Mark, your 2 selections here start with Celta Vigo hosting Barcelona, who surprisingly I thought dropped points midweek away to Club Brugge.
Yeah, I don't want to sort of be told you so, because I definitely didn't, but I wouldn't be backing Barcelona midweek based on what we've seen in more recent weeks. They are struggling at the minute, and this could be another banana skin for them. The big negative, really, if you want to be pro Celta Vigo here, is they are playing on Thursday night in European football, which is a slight shame because I think they still can do damage to Barcelona. I think they'll definitely score against Barca. Whether they can keep them out and keep the score down is another question entirely. But with that in mind, both teams to score has to be the most obvious sort of foundation for a play in this game, because Celta are the BTTS kings of La Liga this season. 10 of their first 11 matches have seen goals for both teams. And yeah, they're also obsessed with the 1-1 draws. Quite remarkable. They've drawn 7 of their opening 10 league games 1-1, including 5 of 6 at Baidos. But anyway, they're a team that can give you a right good go at home. They've got players who can hurt this Barcelona defence. Borja Iglesias, real physical, hulking striker. He'll cause them problems. Oscar Minguesa's having a fantastic season, a real sort of creator in behind. But yeah, you wouldn't back them to blank this weekend, but you also wouldn't back any team to sort of keep Barcelona quiet either. And Celta have yet to keep a clean sheet in the league this season. Barca have scored twice or more in 8 of 11, 9 of 12 after the midweek game. So 9 of those 12 also saw both teams to score bank as well. But if you look at La Liga entirely, 18 both teams to score winners in 22 combined encounters between Celta Vigo and Barcelona this season. But yeah, just on Barcelona, they're still trying to play this stupidly high line and high press approach, but it's really faltering because Rafinha's missing. He's still injured. Yamal has only been sort of deemed 80% fit. So they're not pressing with the same kind of intensity in forward areas. And that's leaving the defensive line completely open. Teams are running straight through them or straight over the top of them. You've seen the likes of Girona, Sevilla, Rayo, Levante all have fantastic joy against them in La Liga this season. Club Brugge, of course, in midweek could and probably should have scored 4 based on some of the decisions there. But going back to La Liga, Barca have given up 29 big chances in 11 league games, 3 clean sheets all season, none in the last 9. Both teams to score as banked in each of the past 7 away games. I like both teams to score. Choose over 2.5 goals on top of that, and we're getting a 175 shot. It's very difficult to see Barca either not scoring twice or even not conceding twice based on their current form. So definitely think Celta can cause some problems, and goals would be the best way forward there.
Okay, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. Second selection from League A.
Yeah, Ligue 1's been really good fun actually this season. 293 goals per game, 53% of matches going over 2.5 goals. We've got 2 of the real protagonists in those markets here on Friday night. Paris entertaining Rennes. I think this should be a really great watch. Over 2.5 goals is 178. It should be shorter. It's a wager that's 1 in 7 of Paris's 11 games since promotion, 8 of Rennes' matches this season. So already there's a nice strong basis there. But if you dig a bit deeper, both sides have seen both teams score in 8 of their respective 11 games this season. So in their combined 22 matches, they've scored in 19 of those and managed only 4 clean sheets. Paris have had 3-3, 2 3-2s, a 2-1 and 2-0 in the home outings. Rennes, their matches have been just nuts lately. The last 8 games, 4-1, 2-2, 1-2, 2-2, 2-2, 0-0, 2-2, 3-1. So 6 of the last 8 have gone over 3.5. They've scored twice or more in 6 of those 8 and conceded twice or more in 5 of those 8. And away from home, they've had a 1-1, a 0-4 and 3 2-2s already. So quite an easy way here to support goals. There's been 5.09 and 5.63 big chances per game on average involving these 2 teams. So very numbers heavy, but overs has to be the angle. Still too big, should be below 1.7.
Okay, Paris versus Rennes, over 2.5 goals, 178. And inside StopMatchable.com if a lot of bets are being thrown at you here for full recap. And Adrian, I feel not feeling like it's your job to sell us the EFL and the Championship, but you get this little slot every week. You feel, right, give me a game to watch this weekend. You've gone for 3 games that won't have many goals.
Yeah, I do like an unders. I know that it's probably not a popular bet, is it, among punters, because you're chewing your fingernails the whole time, but I like it, and I think we've had quite a lot of success with it down the years actually. And this season in the Championship, I've got to say that it's a low scoring division. It's not been that much fun in terms of goal heavy matches. Under 2.5 goals has landed in 53% of Championship matches. We've seen in the Premier League in recent years, a big shift, haven't we, in overs being the favourite, but unders should really be the favourite in most Championship matches. On under 3.5 goals, by the way, 76% hit rate. So, if you want to get some accas in on under 3.5, I wouldn't put anybody off of doing that. I've got a treble for you, an under 2.5 treble for this weekend. I'll go through it game by game. Wrexham against Charlton. Charlton flying high. Nathan Jones doing a brilliant job. They barely give any goals away. They've got a tremendous defensive record, Charlton Athletic. And Wrexham, even though they're involved in that real good game against Coventry the other night, 3-2, that was the exception rather than the norm. It was 0-0 last night against Pompey, or 0-0 this midweek. So yeah, Wrexham 7 of their last 8 games under 2.5. Charlton in the season overall 10 of their 14 games under 2.5. So feels strong. Next game, Middlesbrough Birmingham. Borough 6 of their last 8 games have gone under 2.5 goals. Not a high scoring team. Are solid under Rob Edwards. Birmingham 5 of their 7 away games have gone under 2.5 goals as well. They've just won 2 home games 4-0 on the bounce, back to back. So they're really finding their form. But on the road, it's been a bit different for Chris Davis's side. They've been very pragmatic in their approach. So Borough at Birmingham, I don't see many goals. And the last one is Norwich Leicester. This is the best priced of. This is actually odds against if you want to back it under 2.5 goals. It boosts the price of this treble very nicely. The reason I want to go Norwich Leicester is that neither team are scoring goals at the moment. Both teams are very, very low on confidence. You've got Liam Manning under huge pressure. Marty Cifuentes is getting a little bit toxic at Leicester City as well. Fans are on the player's back, on his back, on the owner's back. It's bad times really for both these clubs. It's a high pressure game, and you know what happens in high pressure games. You tighten up, and obviously there's not a lot of confidence on show from either forward line either. 6 of the last 8 matches for Norwich unders. 6 of the last 8 Leicester matches under 2.5 goals. So yeah, that's my treble. I think if you back it in the here and now, you might get around 6.3. Yeah. But I think it's more likely to be a 6.0 shot, isn't it? As we build up towards the weekend. So yeah, it's a nice cheeky little treble to follow in the EFL.
Yeah, I think actually in around mid-5s at the moment. But if you back it Friday night, Saturday morning, they'll be in around 6.0 on Matchbook, and we will be competitively priced around then, and we will be the best price on the odds checker grid. So check that out. Under 2.5 goals treble. Wrexham versus Charlton, Middlesbrough versus Birmingham, and Norwich versus Leicester. Mark, looking at the league table for Bundesliga, Dortmund have a really good season. It feels unfair that you're chasing a team that's won 9 games out of 9, but results-wise, they look like they've had a really good start to the season. How's it been?
Yeah, it's been good without being great. They have, I mean, they could have been absolutely beaten out of the door away at Bayern Munich in their only defeat. Bayern left them off the hook, and in the second half they managed to find a way back into that game and make the scoreline a bit more acceptable. But they drew with Leipzig as well, so I guess the 2 big games they failed to win. But the other 6 matches they've played have all been victories and all been done without conceding a goal in the Bundesliga. 5 of those 6 by either a 1-0 or 2-0 scoreline. And yeah, I like a repeat of that this weekend when they go away to Hamburg at 5.9. A Hamburg side who aren't exactly flush with goals, back in the big time, doing okay, but have lost 3 on the spin coming into this. Had 2 players sent off in a 4-1 loss at Köln last weekend. They've now failed to score 5 times this season in 9 fixtures. They've already lost to nil twice at home, both times via a 1-0 or 2-0 correct score. And 6 of their 8 goals they have scored have come against the current bottom 2 in the Bundesliga. So I'm going a bit against the goals trend this weekend. Dortmund obviously have a quick turnaround from Wednesday night at the Etihad to Saturday afternoon at Hamburg. But I think in midweek, particularly for the first sort of 50 to 60 minutes, they seem to be in sort of damage limitation mode. Niko Kovac, he's not the most front foot of coaches. He has got them very organised defensively. They're much more robust. We're run down by a bit of magic really from Phil Foden. But they have been quite dull compared to sort of previous regimes, and just dull but quite effective. So they opened their account this season with a 3-3 draw with St. Pauli. As I say, 6 wins from 8 since, 1 loss and 6 defeats, 6 clean sheets. So, you know, if I look at the weekend match, if you exclude sides in the bottom 2, Hamburg have scored 2 goals in 7 games. Dortmund, 3 goals conceded in 8, with this bet landing in 5 of those 8 fixtures. This bet being Dortmund to win and under 2.5 goals. So you're looking at the 1-0 or 2-0 away correct score. It's 5.9 for a repeat, which just feels a bit too big. Bundesliga, of course, is known for goals, renowned for goals, but these two haven't been great entertainers this season at all. And I think there is great value in going unders across the board here. You can almost ladder it down from under 3.5 goals, which is 171, to under 1.5 goals, which is trading at 5-1 on the Matchbook exchange right now. But I'm going to back Dortmund to win and under 2.5 goals at 5.9.
Okay, interesting angle there in Bundesliga for long shots. And we move on to best bets. And Adrian, we go to you for this one. Peterborough hosts Wimbledon, and you fancy Wimbledon double chance and under 3.5 goals?
I do, yeah. Look, Peterborough have got a new manager in Luke Williams, and they did win in the FA Cup actually last weekend against Cardiff. So he got off to a decent enough start, but I've seen a fair bit of them, and they're really short on goals and firepower by their usual standards. And they have a terrible home record this season. It's been awful at London Road, just 4 points from 6 home games in League One action. And Wimbledon are considered, a good bet here. They're the outsiders. So I like Wimbledon. They're in the playoff positions. They've got the second best away record in League One this season, Johnny Jackson's side. They're also second in the form table across the last 6 games, 4 wins, a draw and a defeat. They did lose at home to Burton, and they did lose to Gateshead, which is a really bad result in the FA Cup last weekend. But I just sense a reaction incoming. I think there was more of a focus really on the league and possibly mounting a promotion bid for AFC Wimbledon, which would be quite remarkable, really. So yeah, look, these two teams are having contrasting seasons. Posh are having a nightmare. Wimbledon are having a very, very good season. So I want to go Wimbledon double chance. So I'm back in the draw as well here because Luke Williams, new manager bounce and all that. Give them a chance at maybe doing that. But I want to pair it with under 3.5 goals. That really is the strong angle here. 13 of 14 matches for Wimbledon under 3.5 goals. They're a brilliant defensive side. Superb without the ball, Wimbledon. Always involved in low scoring games, it seems. And for Posh, 12 of their 13 matches have gone unders as well, mainly because they've been a bit shot shy. They've been poor in attack this season. So yeah, Wimbledon double chance. So Wimbledon to avoid defeat, under 3.5 goals, 1.96. Okay,
and we'll lock that in as Adrian's best bet. And Mark, I trust you and all, but you're bringing us to the Swiss Super League for your best bet. And it's 11th versus 12th, which sounds okay until you realize there's 12 teams in the Swiss Super League. So that's fine. And then I see the bet itself, which is over 2.5 goals and both teams have scored. And I'm struggling now. I'm struggling, Mark. So make the case why this is the best bet on the whole card in Europe.
That's a price thing, 1.9. Swiss Super League has been the best league in Europe this season for goals. 3.42 goals per game. 76% of matches have seen over 2.5 goals. 48% have gone over 3.5 goals. It's been really good fun. And yeah, I am focusing on a game involving the bottom 2 teams. They have conceded together 62 goals in their 24 matches, and they've managed 1 clean sheet between them. So yeah, neither of these 2 teams can defend, but they can pack a punch. So Winter Thur, who are bottom, got their first win of the season last weekend, 4-2 at home to Servette. And at home, they tend to give it a right good go, actually. They tend to produce their best efforts at home. They've already scored at least twice in 4 of 6 at home. They're also without a clean sheet all season. Their matches are averaging 425 goals, which rises to 450 at home, where 5 of 6 have gone over 3.5 goals. And crucially for us, our wager here has won in 5 of 6 games. The game that didn't land the payout ended 1-1, so not far off it. Grasshoppers are second bottom. They've lost 5-0 and 6-0 in the last 2 away days, but they have scored in their previous 4 away days, and they scored 3 goals against Young Boys just a fortnight ago. Just 1 clean sheet for them all season. Their matches are averaging 367 goals, 350 away. Away from home, 4 of 6, both teams score, 4 of 6, over 2.5 goals. And then, yeah, if you look at the underlying data, Winter Thur, their games averaging 3 non-penalty expected goals per game, 2.9 for Grasshoppers. And there's been an average of 6.08 and 5.5 big chances per game involving these 2 teams. So there's been plenty of goalmouth action, hopefully plenty of goals on the agenda this weekend too. But just to sort of recap, they've played a combined 24 matches, 20 have gone over, 16 have seen both teams score, 1 clean sheet, and they've scored in 17 of those. Now they face off together in what is, I guess, a must-win game. But both teams will be targeting top honours here, and neither can convince you defensively. So, I think 2 crap defences can often lead to plenty of goals, just as good as strong attacks. So, fingers crossed we get some more goals in the Swiss Super League on Saturday.
Yeah, solid case, I would say. I can see Adrian going to Totally Studio in a couple of weeks saying, Swiss Super League is the best for goals this season in Europe.
I'm stealing all of Mark's lines, yeah.
Has to be done. Share the work, lads. We're off on a break, not like a personal break, but international break this week. So we'll have a week off to enjoy Ireland home to Portugal and away to Hungary and not qualifying for the World Cup playoffs. And we'll be back the following Wednesday. Sorry for being depressing there for the Irish listeners. We'll be back that following Wednesday. So enjoy the break. Enjoy the international break. Enjoy this weekend's Premier League football. I do think it's a great card. Hopefully we pointed you in the direction of a couple of winners. We will chat to you Wednesday week. Bye-bye.